Stop everything you're doing right now. What I'm about to reveal to you could completely transform your future and open doors you never thought possible. Australia, the land of endless opportunities, stunning landscapes, and one of the highest standards of living in the world, has just made an announcement that's sending shockwaves through the global migration community. We're talking about 468,390 migrants being welcomed in 2025. Yes, you heard that right. Nearly 500,000 people are getting the chance to start a new life down under, and the question burning in your mind right now should be, can I be one of them? Welcome to Aussie Global Affairs, your trusted source for everything related to Australian migration, policy updates, and the insider information you absolutely need to make your Australian dream a reality. I'm here to break down this massive development, dissect what it means for you, and most importantly, answer the critical question that's probably racing through your mind. Is the door still open for you to apply? Or has that ship already sailed? Let me tell you something crucial before we dive into the details. Opportunities like this don't come around every day. When a country like Australia announces that it's opening its doors to nearly 500,000 migrants in a single year, it's not just a number on a government website. It's a life-changing moment for hundreds of thousands of families across the globe. It's the difference between dreaming about a better future and actually living it. It's about children getting world-class education, professionals advancing their careers in thriving industries, families enjoying safety and stability, and individuals discovering opportunities they never knew existed. But here's the reality check you need to hear. Australia's migration system isn't a free-for-all. It's strategic, it's selective, and it's designed to bring in people who will contribute to the nation's economic prosperity, cultural diversity, and social fabric. So while 468,390 might sound like a massive number, and it absolutely is, understanding exactly who these migrants are, what pathways they're using, and whether you fit the criteria is the difference between success and disappointment. So what exactly changed? Why is Australia opening its doors so wide in 2025? And more importantly, what does this mean for your chances of making Australia your new home? Let's unpack this breaking news piece by piece, because every detail matters when your future is on the line. First, let's talk about the context. Australia has always been a migration nation. From its earliest days, people from every corner of the world have been drawn to its shores, seeking opportunity, adventure, safety, and prosperity. But in recent years, migration numbers fluctuated dramatically due to global events, pandemic border closures, economic uncertainties, shifting political priorities, and changing labor market demands. The country found itself in a unique position, rebounding economically while facing critical skills shortages across multiple sectors. And that's where this 468,390 figure comes into play. This isn't just about being generous or humanitarian, though those elements exist. This is fundamentally about Australia recognizing that its future prosperity depends on attracting the right talent, filling critical gaps in the workforce, reuniting families, and maintaining its position as one of the most dynamic and livable nations on Earth. Let's break down who these 468,390 migrants actually are, because understanding the composition of this intake is absolutely essential if you're trying to figure out where you might fit in. The largest portion of these migration spots goes to skilled workers. Australia's economy is booming in certain sectors while experiencing desperate shortages in others. Healthcare professionals, engineers, IT specialists, tradespeople, construction workers, aged care providers, teachers, and agricultural workers are in massive demand. If you possess skills in any of these areas, your chances of securing a pathway to Australia just became significantly stronger. The Skilled Migration Program operates on a points-based system that evaluates candidates based on age, education qualifications, work experience, English language proficiency, and other factors. Recent changes to this system have made it more favorable for certain applicants. Younger workers with recent qualifications and strong English skills are particularly advantaged, but there are pathways for experienced professionals as well, even if they don't tick every single box perfectly. Family reunion visas comprise another substantial portion of the migration intake. Australia recognizes the importance of keeping families together, and if you have close relatives who are Australian citizens or permanent residents, there may be pathways available for you. Spouse visas, parent visas, and child visas all fall under this category, though each comes with its own requirements, processing times, and financial obligations. Student visas represent another significant category. Tens of thousands of international students come to Australia each year to pursue education at world-renowned universities and vocational institutions. What many people don't realize is that student visas can be a strategic pathway to permanent residence. After completing their studies, many international students transition to skilled work visas and eventually to permanent residence, especially if they've studied in fields where Australia has skills shortages. Humanitarian and refugee programs account for another portion of the intake. Australia maintains commitments to providing protection for people fleeing persecution, violence, and humanitarian crises. While this pathway is specifically for people in desperate circumstances rather than general economic migrants, it represents Australia's ongoing commitment to international humanitarian obligations. Business and investment visas cater to entrepreneurs, investors, and business owners who can contribute to Australia's economic development. If you have capital to invest, business experience, and a viable plan for creating employment or contributing to innovation, there are specific visa categories designed for you. Regional migration initiatives are being heavily emphasized in this 2025 intake. Australia is a vast country, and while cities like Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane attract the most attention, regional areas are crying out for workers. The government has created specific incentives and pathways for people willing to live and work in regional Australia, including faster processing times, additional points in skilled migration assessments, and more flexible requirements. Now let's address the elephant in the room. What actually changed to make this 468,390 intake possible? Several factors converged to create this moment. First, economic recovery and growth created unprecedented labor demand. As Australia emerged from global disruptions, businesses across every sector found themselves unable to find enough workers. Restaurants couldn't find chefs, hospitals couldn't find nurses, construction projects stalled due to lack of skilled tradespeople, tech companies couldn't fill critical positions, and aged care facilities struggled to provide adequate staffing. The government recognized that without increased migration, economic growth would stall, businesses would suffer, and Australia's competitive position globally would weaken. Second, policy reforms streamlined certain visa processes and removed bureaucratic obstacles that previously slowed down the system. Application processing times for certain visa categories have been reduced, requirements have been clarified, and pathways that were previously convoluted have been simplified. This doesn't mean the system has become easy, far from it, but it does mean that qualified applicants can navigate it more efficiently than before. Third, there's been a recalibration of priorities in terms of which skills and occupations are most needed. The occupation lists that determine eligibility for skilled migration have been updated to reflect current labor market realities. Occupations that might not have been on priority lists before are now included, while others have been removed as demand shifted. Fourth, international education has rebounded strongly, with Australia positioning itself as a premier destination for students from Asia, South America, Africa, and beyond. The government recognizes that international students bring both economic benefits and potential long-term contributions as they transition into the workforce. Fifth, regional development initiatives have gained momentum. State and territory governments have partnered with the federal government to create specific programs encouraging migration to regional areas, offering incentives and support that make regional settlement more attractive. Now here's the question that's probably dominating your thoughts right now. Can you still apply? Is it too late, or is the window of opportunity still open? The answer depends entirely on your individual circumstances, qualifications, and which pathway you're targeting. But here's the crucial point. When Australia announces a migration intake of this magnitude, it's not all happening in January. These 468,390 spots are distributed throughout the year across multiple visa categories, and applications are assessed on an ongoing basis. If you're a skilled worker in a demanded occupation, the answer is absolutely yes, you can still apply. The skilled migration program operates continuously, and as long as you meet the eligibility criteria, including occupation, points threshold, age requirements, qualifications, and English language proficiency, you can submit an expression of interest and potentially receive an invitation to apply for a visa. But here's something critical. Waiting is dangerous. Migration programs can change with relatively little notice. Occupation lists get updated, points requirements shift, visa categories are modified, and what's available today might not be available tomorrow. If you've been thinking about Australian migration, if you've been researching pathways, if you've been wondering whether you qualify, the time to act is now, not 6 months from now, when circumstances might have changed. For family reunion applicants, the process depends on your specific situation. If you have a sponsor who meets the requirements and you fit within one of the family visa categories, you can certainly proceed with an application. However, be aware that family visas often have longer processing times and may involve substantial costs, particularly for parent visas. For prospective international students, Australian institutions are actively recruiting for intake throughout the year. If you have the educational background, English language skills, and financial capacity to support your studies, this pathway remains very much open. The key is choosing a course of study that aligns with your long-term goals and potentially positions you for post-study work rights and eventual permanent residence. For business migrants and investors, the pathways are selective but available for those who genuinely meet the criteria. You'll need to demonstrate substantial assets, successful business track record, and a viable plan for how you'll contribute to Australia's economy. These aren't pathways for everyone, but for qualified business people, they represent genuine opportunities. Let's talk about something that often gets overlooked in these discussions. What happens after you arrive in Australia? Getting a visa is just the beginning of your journey, not the end. Successfully settling in Australia requires preparation, realistic expectations, and understanding what life will actually be like. Australia offers an incredibly high quality of life, but it's also expensive, particularly in major cities. Housing costs in Sydney and Melbourne can be shocking if you're not prepared. The cost of living generally is higher than in many other countries. You'll need to arrive with adequate financial resources to sustain yourself while you find employment, secure housing, and establish yourself. The job market, while strong in certain sectors, is also competitive. Having qualifications and experience is essential, but you'll also need to understand how Australian workplaces operate, how to present your credentials in ways that Australian employers understand, and potentially how to get Australian experience and recognition for your international qualifications. Cultural adaptation is real and shouldn't be underestimated. Australia has its own distinct culture, social norms, communication styles, and ways of doing things. What's considered normal professional behavior in your home country might be perceived differently in Australia. Building social connections, understanding local customs, and integrating into Australian society takes time and effort. Climate varies dramatically across the country. The tropical north is vastly different from temperate southern regions. Depending on where you settle, you might experience extreme heat, bushfire risks, cyclones, or other environmental factors you haven't encountered before. Being prepared for these realities is part of successful settlement. But despite these challenges, millions of migrants have successfully built wonderful lives in Australia. The country offers political stability, excellent healthcare, world-class education systems, stunning natural environment, diverse multicultural communities, strong legal protections, and genuine opportunities for economic advancement and quality of life. So what should you do right now if you're serious about becoming one of these 468,390 migrants in 2025? Step 1. Honestly assess your eligibility. Don't rely on wishful thinking or vague hopes. Look at the actual requirements for the visa category that interests you. Check whether your occupation is on the relevant skilled occupation list. Calculate your points if you're pursuing skilled migration. Verify that you meet age, qualification, and experience requirements. This honest assessment will save you time, money, and disappointment. Step 2. Get your English language testing done if you haven't already. Nearly every migration pathway requires evidence of English proficiency through tests like IELTS, PTE, or TOEFL. These tests take preparation, and you might not achieve the required score on your first attempt. Starting this process early is essential. Step 3. Get your qualifications assessed. If you're pursuing skilled migration, you'll need to have your qualifications assessed by the relevant Australian assessing authority for your occupation. This process can take months, costs money, and sometimes requires additional evidence or documentation. Don't leave this until the last minute. Step 4. Engage with a registered migration agent if your situation is complex or if you're uncertain about any aspect of the process. Migration law is intricate, and mistakes can be costly. A qualified professional can assess your situation accurately, advise on the best pathway, and help you avoid errors that could jeopardize your application. Step 5. Start building your financial resources now. You'll need money for application fees, skill assessments, English tests, police checks, health examinations, and settlement funds. Depending on your pathway, you might need to demonstrate access to substantial financial resources. The earlier you start preparing financially, the better positioned you'll be. Step 6. Research thoroughly which state or territory might be best for your circumstances. Different states have different opportunities, different costs of living, different climates, and different state nomination programs that might give you additional pathways or advantages in the migration process. Step 7. Connect with Australian migrant communities from your country of origin. These communities can provide invaluable advice, support, and practical information about settlement that you won't find in official government information. Social media groups, community organizations, and professional networks can all be helpful resources. Step 8. Stay informed about policy changes and updates. Migration policy isn't static. It evolves in response to economic conditions, political priorities, and labor market demands. Following reliable sources of information, like Aussie Global Affairs, ensures you're working with current, accurate information rather than outdated advice that could lead you astray. Let me share something important about mindset. Pursuing migration to Australia requires patience, persistence, and resilience. The process isn't quick or simple. There will be moments of frustration when paperwork seems endless, when waiting for responses feels unbearable, when requirements seem arbitrary, and when you question whether it's all worth it. But here's what I want you to remember. Hundreds of thousands of people successfully navigate this process every year. The 468,390 figure we're discussing isn't theoretical. It represents real people, real families, real individuals who will actually receive visas and begin new chapters of their lives in Australia. There's absolutely no reason why you can't be one of them if you have the qualifications, the determination, and the willingness to invest the time and effort required. The Australian dream isn't reserved for a lucky few. It's accessible to anyone who genuinely meets the criteria and pursues it with intelligence, preparation, and persistence. Will everyone succeed? No, because not everyone actually qualifies, and some people give up when the process becomes challenging. But for those who are qualified and who persevere, the rewards are extraordinary. Think about what your life could look like 5 years from now. Imagine waking up in a safe, stable country where your hard work is rewarded, where your children have access to excellent education, where healthcare is accessible, where you can build real wealth and security, where you can enjoy an outdoor lifestyle and natural beauty unlike anywhere else on Earth. That's not a fantasy. It's the reality that awaits you if you successfully navigate the migration process. The announcement of 468,390 migration spots for 2025 isn't just a statistic, it's a gateway, an opportunity, a moment in time where Australia is saying to the world, "We need you, we want you, and if you have what it takes, there's a place for you here." The question is, are you going to seize this moment, or are you going to let it pass by while you sit on the sidelines wondering what might have been? Here at Aussie Global Affairs, we're dedicated to helping you understand exactly what's happening in Australian migration, cutting through the confusion, and providing you with the information and insights you need to make informed decisions about your future. If this video gave you valuable information and clarity about the 2025 migration intake, I need you to do 3 things right now. First, smash that like button. It helps us reach more people who need this information. Second, subscribe to Aussie Global Affairs and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update that could impact your Australian migration journey. And third, share this video with anyone you know who's interested in migrating to Australia, your friends, your family, your colleagues, because information this important needs to be shared. The door to Australia is open right now. The question is, are you ready to walk through it? Take action today. Start preparing. Get your qualifications assessed, improve your English, save your money, research your options, and stay connected with us here at Aussie Global Affairs because we'll be bringing you every update, every change, and every opportunity as it develops. Your Australian dream is waiting. Let's make it happen together. Until next time, this is Aussie Global Affairs, and we'll see you in the next video.